At the Big Bear bald eagle nest, Sandy and Luna are now about 11.5 weeks old, and that means they're right in one of the most exciting stages of eaglet development. The fledge window has begun. Bald eagle eaglets usually take their first flight somewhere between 10 and 13 weeks of age, with many fledging around 12 weeks. But fledging isn't a deadline. It's not a date marked on a calendar. It's a process. And every eaglet reaches that moment in its own time. At 11.5 weeks old, Sandy and Luna are no longer tiny chicks tucked safely in the nest bowl. They're large, dark, powerful juvenile bald eagles, with wings that seem almost too big for the nest. Those wings are exactly what we're watching now. The strong flapping, the hopping, the balancing, the stepping out onto branches, the careful testing of their feet and wings. All of this is part of the final preparation before first flight. This stage is often called Wingercising. It may look playful, and sometimes it can be funny to watch, especially when one eaglet accidentally whacks the other with a wing. But it's also serious work. Every hop helps with coordination. Every awkward landing teaches balance. And every moment spent gripping a branch helps those powerful talons learn how to hold on. Before an eaglet takes its first real flight, it's also proficient in branching. Branching means leaving the main nest bowl and stepping out onto nearby limbs in the same nest tree. Branching is very different to fledging. A branch hop, a leap back into the nest, or a short lift inside the nest, is not a fledge. A fledge is the first real flight away from the nest tree. At Big Bear, Sandy and Luna have already been showing the classic signs that fledging is getting closer. They're spending more time near the edges of the nest. They're exploring the porch areas. They're watching the world beyond the nest with much more focus, reacting to ravens, tracking movement, watching the valley, and paying attention to the adults as they come and go. This is exactly what we expect to see at this age. The eaglets are learning how to be eagles. By now, their bodies are full size. Their dark juvenile feathers have replaced the fluffy grey down of the early weeks. Their wings are strong and powerful. Their tails have grown into the shape they need for steering and balance. And their talons are impressive. But being physically large does not mean an eaglet is instantly ready to fly. The last part of development is about strength, timing, confidence, and coordination. This stage can feel dramatic to eagle cam viewers. 1 minute, an eaglet looks ready to launch. The next minute, it may sit quietly, preen, nap, or wait for the next fish delivery. This is normal. A first flight usually happens when several things come together. Body strength, wing control, confidence, wind, position, and instinct. Sometimes it's a deliberate takeoff. Sometimes it looks more like a sudden decision. And sometimes, the first flight can look a little clumsy. It isn't usually a perfect, graceful, soaring moment. It may be a short flight. Wobbly, the landing may be awkward. But it's still the biggest milestones in the life of a young bald eagle. For Sandy and Luna, this doesn't mean their time with Jackie and Shadow is ending. Fledging is not the same as independence. After young bald eagles fledge, they often remain close to the nest area. They may return to the nest for food. They may sleep nearby, or back in the nest. They may follow the adults, calling loudly for meals, while they continue practicing flight, landings, and survival skills. The weeks after fledging are just as important as the weeks before it. This is when young eagles learn how to move through the territory, land safely in trees, build endurance, and gain the skills they'll need after dispersal. So when Sandy or Luna take that first flight, it will be a beginning, not an ending. At 11.5 weeks old, Sandy and Luna are in the fledge window. They are practicing, building strength and confidence. And very soon, one of those wing beats will carry them beyond the nest tree. For the very first time. Until then, every flap and every hop out onto a branch is part of the same story. The skies are beckoning. Possibly today, or maybe tomorrow. The fledge window is open wide and the eaglets look ready. Their biggest milestone, their very first flight, feels very close now.